The last time you joined me in my study, we saw that some people misguidedly try to rule out penal substitution simply by definition. The great legal theorist H.L.A. Hart said that in order to rule out these sort of definitional stops to debate, we need to recognize that there are forms of punishment which are unusual, such as punishing the innocent in some cases. Now that applies also to penal substitution. And those who try to rule out penal substitution by definition alone are assuming a theory of punishment called expressivism. According to expressivism, punishment, in order to be punishment, must express condemnation or censure. And since God does not condemn or censure Christ, since he didn't do anything wrong, the claim is that God cannot punish Christ. It seems to me that the penal substitution theorist is at liberty, however, to simply reject expressivism as a theory of punishment. After all, there aren't any knockdown arguments in favor of an expressivist theory of punishment. For example, there are in the civil law penalties which are not punishments for crimes per se, but nevertheless, they plausibly do carry an attitude or stigma of condemnation or of censure. For example, there are torts in civil law, wrongs, which carry punishments such as assault and battery or fraud or even wrongful death. These plausibly carry censure or condemnation for the damages awarded for these torts. Or again, sometimes extraordinary awards are made in civil law, in which case a person is given punitive damages. Not simply corrective justice is done, but punitive damages are awarded, and this seems clearly intended to censure or condemn the wrong that has been done. By the same token, in criminal law, there are also examples of punishment which do not carry an attitude of condemnation or censure with them. For example, there are in criminal law things called mala prohibita, that is to say, prohibited wrongs, which are not intrinsically or inherently wrong, like rape or murder or theft, but simply which the law prohibits. And the punishments for these may not carry a great deal of censure or condemnation. For example, punishments for violations of federal laws against marijuana possession could be imposed, but might not in today's society carry a great deal of censure or condemnation. Or again, there are in criminal law crimes of so-called strict liability, where a person is punished even though he is not held to be at fault in any way for the crime. These would include crimes like possession of narcotics or firearms. Even if someone else has put these in your trunk of your car, you can be convicted for possession of narcotics or firearms, even though you're entirely faultless. Strict liability plausibly doesn't carry an attitude of condemnation or censure. And finally, there's penal substitution itself. As Hugo Grotius demonstrates in his great treatise on substitutionary atonement, a defense of the Catholic faith, in the ancient world, penal substitution was widely endorsed and sometimes practiced. And moreover, the people who stepped forward to die in the place of another were widely hailed as noble and magnanimous people for what they did. They were punished for the crimes of others, but without any attitude of censure or condemnation. So it seems to me that this attempt on the part of expressivism to say that punishment, and punishment alone, must carry an attitude of condemnation or censure simply doesn't fit the facts.